Broadcasting live from the Capital OTB studios, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
We'd like to thank Woodbine for their sponsorship of this program and some of the other programming and events here at Capital OTB. Woodbine open now through December, featuring great racing, including the King's Plate coming up in August, Turf Champions Day with the Woodbine Mile in September, and much, much more. Woodbine Racing, great racing north of the border. Good morning and welcome to Racing Across America on this Sunday morning. I'm Seth Merrill. Thanks for joining us. Let me just update you here on what's coming up at OTB before we get into the stakes recaps from yesterday and beyond. We'll look back at a Friday stake as well. But today, of course, at Capital OTB at the Clubhouse Racebook, it's an NFL Sunday, football Sunday. Come on down. Maybe you can win a jersey, put your name on the squares, have a little fun that way. But you can always, every Sunday throughout the season, watch all the football action and watch all the racing action right here at the Clubhouse Racebook. I also tout our food vendor, Black Bear. You can get some lunch down here as well and just kick back and make it an afternoon here. Clubhouse Racebook, football Sundays, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. Tomorrow, Finger Lakes road trip. It's going to be a lot of fun because last year I was kind of amazed as I looked at the weather the last couple of days, because last year it seemed like a complete aberration. We were out there, I think the same day essentially last year, and it was like a summer afternoon out there. It was a great day out at the Finger Lakes last year when we went out about this time. And according to the weather that I watched last night, same situation, summer-like weather out there. They have 3 stakes races, so nice stakes action on the card tomorrow. We'll be joined by Todd Height out there and Anthony Stabile, the Big A, and more, perhaps special guests as well. So it should be fun tomorrow. I've said all weekend long, if you'd like to, hop on the thruway yourself and pop out to the Finger Lakes again. It's going to be a gorgeous day with some nice stakes action. If you have the day free, maybe make a day of it out there. And if you do, stop by our location and say hello, certainly. But if not, tune in all afternoon. We'll be here on OTB TV, breaking in throughout the afternoon, live from the Finger Lakes. That's tomorrow. And I do want to alert you because it is a juicy prize up for grabs. Next Saturday, King of the Hill continues. Nobody managed to score yesterday for the $900 prize. So next Saturday, King of the Hill, $1,000 up for grabs. And if you're not familiar with the contest, you come in, beginning of the day, you fill out your sheet with the assigned races. First couple of races, your horse has to finish in the top 4. Next couple of races, the top 3. Next couple of races, the top 2. And the final race, you have to have the winner. And we have had folks close. We had back at Saratoga, we had a winner, a couple of winners, I think. And then through Saratoga, it continued. And it's going to continue until somebody wins again. So it's doable, certainly. And again, that'll be a week from yesterday, next Saturday. And I just want to alert you because there's $1,000 up for grabs. That's here at the Clubhouse Racebook. You have to stop by the Racebook to enjoy the action here and fill out your King of the Hill contest sheet. But keep that in mind for next weekend. All right, this weekend, there was some really nice racing, obviously, yesterday. We'll take a look at some of that. I'm going to kick things off going back to Friday because I think the L&J Foxwood folks have a nice little 3-year-old filly that will certainly make a little noise coming up next year as well. The Glen Cove was Friday. The Glen Cove was rescheduled from a previous week. You know, a week ago, this past Friday was that quirky day down at Belmont Aqueduct where they had the roof had been redone and the chemical smell in the upper levels was such that, and the upper levels are where a lot of the administration and the stewards and whatnot go on. So they had to cancel racing a week ago this past Friday. The Glen Cove was originally scheduled there, rescheduled for this past Friday. Now, unfortunately, it scratched down to a field of 4. But at 85 cents to $1, the number 5, L&J, was the favorite and lived up to it. And as I say, a nice runner for L&J Foxwoods. Brad Cox trains. This is a horse that had a couple of wins in 4 starts previously. The 2 wins were after the horse switched from dirt to turf. So now 3 for 3 on the turf. And the chart margin here will wind up to be 1.5. You can see a little challenge there, top of the stretch. You have a horse running late, Agra, and that horse, the 7, will wind up second, but no threat to the winner, Ellen J. Again, Brad Cox, Ellen J. 5. And Ellen J, spelled like the name Ellen J, Ellen, and then Jay, Ellen J. But of course, the owner, Ellen J. Foxwoods, the initials, LNJ. So kind of a cleverly named horse. And when an owner does something like that, you have to think, well, they have some high expectations. And no surprise, high expectations for this one, because the breeding here, Constitution, very good sire, certainly, but out of Covfefe. And that was an Ellen J. Foxwoods horse as well. Covfefe was the 2019 Eclipse 3-year-old filly, Eclipse female sprinter. And I pulled up her record here because, of course, we got to see her in 2019 Saratoga win the test. Her record, 6 wins in 8 starts, plus a third. Debuted, won a maiden race down at Churchill. Then they got ambitious, tried the Frizette. That was her only off-the-board finish, finished 4th. But then, as I say, wrapped up the career with 6 wins in 8 starts, including the test, nice grade 1, and winds up again with a couple of Eclipse awards. You know, these talented fillies and mares don't often duplicate themselves talent-wise. And I'm not saying Ellen J. Is not necessarily Covfefe as far as talent, but has shown some flashes, and certainly being undefeated since moving to the turf. She will be very interesting to watch going forward. That was, again, only the 5th start of the career, 3rd win, 3 for 3 on the turf. We'll see where they manage to go next. On board was Flavien Prat. According to Dave Grenig, his follow-up article, this was the 66th stake win of 2024 for Flavien Prat. That bested his record of 65 stakes wins in a year, which he set in 2021. So he has a new personal record. And with a couple of months to go, more 2.5-ish, he's chasing the overall stakes record in the year, set by Irod Ortiz, 79 in 2022. He set that record. So Flavien Prat currently with 66. He's chasing a record of 79. And again, there's time for some stakes wins to come. 13 stakes wins in 2.5 months sounds doable, but it's not particularly easy. But it'll be interesting to watch him going forward over the next couple of months in the stakes action, certainly. All right. Let's take a look now at, where did I put my PPs? Right there. Some of the stakes action yesterday in New York. The Awad, we talked about a Covfefe yesterday. I had pulled up the Awad stats, and he had an incredible career as well. Arlington Million win. I think the Sword Dancer up at Saratoga. Aptly gets a stakes race named after him, Awad. And it was fun to see Dave Donk, the Awad trainer, in the winner's circle after the race, presenting the trophy. And I appreciated that he was wearing New York Jets gear as a New York Jets fan myself. But I thought, I don't know if I'd advertise it. That's a whole other sport and story. However, the Awad yesterday at Belmont was for the 2-year-olds going a mile and a 16th. And the favorite was Tiz Dashing, going out for our friends Jack Knowlton and company at Saratoga. Barkley Tag runner had won the debut back in September right here at Belmont at Aqueduct. And again, Tiz Dashing went off as the favorite. I liked the valuation metric, however, the Chad Brown Klarovich runner, who was still a maiden, but had just missed back on the 14th of September. Debuted up at Saratoga, ran an okay 4th there, then followed up with that near miss last time. And it is valuation in a ding-dong battle, valuation metric in a ding-dong battle with Tiz Dashing. So the horse I liked, and the horse that wound up to be the second choice at 5-2, duels it out, valuation metric is the 4 horse, and you can see in those Klarovich colors, just kind of getting started here. Tis Dashing is the number 5. Flavian Prat on board, valuation metric, so puts another stakes win on that resume. Tis Dashing, John Velasquez. Concord Green runs third, but you can see it is a ding-dong battle. Chart margin winds up to be ahead. You get $7.70. The 2 logicals in here, $13 and change in your exacta. It was a 70 buyer, so it didn't jump off the page necessarily. The previous race for valuation metric was a 70, so you would have liked to have seen a nice move forward or some move forward in the third career start. Didn't do it, but it was still a nice gutsy performance there. Chad Brown certainly appreciated it after the race. Chad Brown also said, as I said, the previous race in September had just missed. Chad said, you know what? Taking a maiden into a stakes race is always a leap. But Chad said, I treated that last race as a win. He ran good enough. He had just a little bobble towards the end that maybe gave him an excuse. So I was treating that as a win, and I was willing to take a shot. But it was the second year in a row that Chad Brown won this race with the maiden. Did the same thing last year. So valuation metric, again, a nice little 2-year-old by Munnings from Chad and Klarovich. And I would have to think one of those worth watching going forward in that subdivision I like, 3-year-olds on the turf for, a couple of months. That'll be the game plan for a valuation metric. And with the record so far and the connection certainly involved, valuation metric looks to be a 3-year-old, in a couple of months to keep our eyes on. Also on the card yesterday, Belmont at the Big A, the Athenia, $150,000 up for grabs for the fillies and mares, going a mile and an eighth on the turf. I like Papilio, who was right in the scrum here at the end. It winds up to be another ding-dong finish. I like Papilio, but right underneath I had Child of the Moon. Prerequisite, the number 6 wound up to be the favorite for Chad Brown. I wasn't necessarily buying into a prerequisite. I had that one down at the bottom of my mix. Betting public made prerequisite the 6-5 choice. But as I say, I like Papilio, the number 7, over number 4, Child of the Moon. And it will be Child of the Moon, who is the other Chad Brown getting it done over prerequisite. So it's a Chad Brown exacta in here. But as is going to become the thing to watch for, it's the other Chad Brown, the longer price of the two. And you can see Child of the Moon getting a nice dose of momentum here to catch the favorite prerequisite at the wire. And the chart margin will be a neck. Papilio, who I like, winds up 4th there in that photo for Show Tufani, was running 3rd. Prerequisite was Flavian Prat, so he didn't add to his stakes total there, just getting caught in the shadow of the wire. It was Manny Franco on board, Child of the Moon, again, for Chad Brown. The Chad Brown exacta here, just under $35. Not bad if you thought in those terms. And not only that, they were the first and third choice. But again, Child of the Moon being the longer price of the two Chad runners, you get $11 there. If you use that strategy, and as I have said before, got to the end of the Saratoga meet, I knew a couple of people who were just kind of playing the longer half of the Chad runners in these types of stakes. So, yeah, interesting. Chad Brown, his 9th win in this race, the Athenia. It was also, again, according to a Dave Grenig follow-up article, the recap of this stakes race. This was Chad Brown's 59th stakes win of 2024. Interestingly, Dave broke it out. 25 of his 59 stakes wins this year have been in the female turf division, and he's done it with 18 different horses. So kind of loaded in that division. And Dave said some of his better, and he listed some of them, familiar names. Some of them will either be retired or maybe be sold at the end of this year. And so Child of the Moon may replenish that a little bit. Had started the career over in Europe and then came over and had a couple of starts here in the United States before the win yesterday. 87 buyer, nice number for Child of the Moon, matched up with her win back at the end of the Saratoga meet, the 87 buyer figure for Child of the Moon in the Athenia. Also yesterday, there was some stakes action down at Keeneland, obviously, on a Saturday, as you would expect. They had a couple of stakes down there, and the Perryville was run at 7 furlongs for 3-year-olds. So 3-year-old sprinters, and this was a fun field. Nice bunch in here. Bookham Dano was my top pick. Bookham Dano at 71 cents to the dollar was the pick of the public as well. But it was a little bit interesting in here. You also had Knightsbridge, who 2 big wins so far in the career, maiden special and optional claimer for Belmont. Now, that one hadn't been seen since March. But the Belmont Godolphin runner, Knightsbridge, certainly had the potential, has the potential still to be a special one also. That horse went off as the 2-1 favorite. But it was interesting, sneaking in from the AE list is Brunacini, and also interesting, Luan Machado was on board Brunacini, 28-1 coming in from the AE list. And Luan Machado was the horse that was in the controversial race back on Wednesday, where he stopped riding at the first finish line down at Keeneland. Unfortunately, the race went to the second finish line. He has a huge lead and gets caught right at the wire. And social media blew up. I had my rant on that yesterday. He subsequently suspended 3 days. He will serve that the first 3 days of Churchill, fined $2,500. And again, people kind of lost their minds. And understandably, if you had a ticket, but when you look at the situation and whatnot, a lot of it just seemed overblown to me. And so, again, I had the rant yesterday. Will not rant again. But it added to the story yesterday with Brunacini. Number 14 kicks in from the AE list at 28-1 with Luan Machado on board. He had not been riding this horse in the first couple of starts. It had been Rafael Bejarano, but he'd been working the horse in the morning. So he was on yesterday, the number 14, by a neck over Bookham Dano, who you can see Bookham Dano had traffic and had to really work and then comes up the rail. Bookham Dano ran great given the traffic situation. Irad Ortiz said, I looked for opening. He ran well. We just, the other horse had the jump, which was the case. So Brunacini, $58.16. Bookham Dano, there's nothing there other than a trip and got caught in with some horses and had to work for it while the other horse had the momentum on the outside. Running third was the aforementioned Knightsbridge, the chart margin was first to second was a neck, second to third was 3/4. So it was a decent run from Knightsbridge, and the third career start off a long layoff. We'll see what they do with that one going forward. But again, Bookham Dano, who has had an interesting career with the win at Tampa, and then off a Tampa win in the Pasco, they go to the Saudi Derby, and he just misses behind Forever Young. So he became a very interesting horse on that scenario. Subsequently comes back, wins the Woody Stevens, wins a little stakes race down at Monmouth, then third in the Jerkins behind Domestic Product. And again, yesterday, a rough situation traffic-wise, but ran well, Bookham Dano. But the winner, Brunacini, this one will be interesting to watch too. This was only the third career start, had won the debut at Ellis at the end of July, and then had the lead late at Churchill at a mile and a 16th and got caught, ran fifth by half a length. So he was right there. Now cuts back again, bullet workout coming in, and you got a big price. Got a little bit overlooked being on the AE list, but ran very, very well, did Brunacini. And again, a little bit of redemption for Luan Machado. And the post-race comments for him were all kind of acknowledging, been a rough week. One of the articles I read said, he got a little emotional, understandably, because he was taking some hits, certainly. And I will say, a lot of it justified. It's just the level of it was a little bit out of the box. Ninth race at Keeneland yesterday was the Raven Run. This one for the 3-year-old fillies sprinting. I liked Emery. Emery was going out for Brad Cox. Hadn't been seen since the second place finish in the test behind the very talented Ways and Means. So she took the action yesterday at 6-5 and lived up to it. Emery's going to be the number 5 horse here. My main squeeze I had down in the 3rd slot. My main squeeze for Mike Maker has been a very talented stakes runner herself, and she will manage to be there. And it's clear from 1st to 2nd, 2nd to 3rd, so we can watch Emery, the number 8 horse, the number 5 horse getting it done here over number 3, my main squeeze. Fibber, the number 1, runs 3rd. But again, Emery, chart margin a couple lengths, 1st to 2nd, chart margin 2.5. 2nd to 3rd. So they were pretty clearly solidified in their various positions. Emery now 5 wins in 7 career starts. So a nice runner for Brad Cox and Stone Street. Tyler Gaffleone on board yesterday. And as I say, 5 for 6. One of those was a similar to the horse we looked at earlier. One of those was in the Frizette in the second start of the career. They got a little bit ambitious off a maiden win, but this year had won the first 3 starts of the season, and then again second last time to Ways and Means, who's very talented. So Emery, a nice little 3-year-old sprinting filly that again, performed in a way that says let's keep our eyes on her next year as well. And I haven't seen buyers for some of the stakes yesterday yet. I'll continue to take a look. And if I find them during one of the commercial breaks, I will alert on that. Otherwise, there are some of your stakes from Belmont at Aqueduct and Keeneland yesterday. We'll come back and we'll take a look at some more stakes action from yesterday from all over and all kinds of racing, all of that. When Racing Across America continues, stay tuned.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
Birdstone is an outside front. They're coming down to the finish. Can Smarty Jones hold on? Here comes Birdstone. Birdstone surges past. Birdstone wins the Belmont Stakes. In front, but here comes High Chaparral. High Chaparral, the defending champ, to take it to Falbrough. These two arch rivals head to head with Joe Hart bearing down on them. It's going to be a 3-horse photo finish to the turn. Here's the wire. Photo finish.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. And again, I said yesterday we should have titled it Racing Across the Globe as we included some discussion and actually showed during the show yesterday a race from Ascot. We showed on the network, we showed all the races from British Champions Day, but during my show, we popped in one of the races. But we talked with Dick Powell yesterday about a few of the races, including the highlight of the day, the Group 1 Champion Stakes. Well over $1.5 million up for grabs, 1.25 miles on the turf. Calendagan was the favorite, and as we watch the stretch run here, Calendagan, the number 7, will actually run pretty well. It had some traffic to overcome and whatnot, but Calendagan late is right in the thick of things and has a lead, actually, but gets caught by number 1 Anmat late to Anmat getting the victory at a huge price. And again, you can see it's a nice little battle here as they come down the stretch. But number one, Anmat, who was coming off a fifth place finish, but prior to that had won 4 of the previous 5. However, this year, only a couple of starts this year, a win back in August of a long layoff, and then a fifth place finish last time. But again, overall, the record, 8 wins and 14 starts. There were some things to like. I am not claiming I did, but you could have looked at the record and said, you know what? At the price, I'll take a little pop in here. Anmat winds up paying $78 to win, $78 to win, $15 to show, which essentially they have win and show. There's not really a place. So $15 to show. Keeneland, the favorite, runs second at $2.60. But the exacta was pretty good, as you would imagine, with the $78 horse, despite having the favorite underneath. I mean, if you played around with the favorite underneath, $330 on the exacta. You could have played a Quinella as well and wound up with $94. Again, upset in the champion yesterday over in Europe on a big day, British Champions Day. They had a number of Group 1s in there. So now we'll take a look at yesterday. We also talked with Joe Clancy in preview of the Far Hills meet down in New Jersey. And again, I got to get down there, and I recommend other folks. I showed the video yesterday that there was some drone footage of previous runnings at Far Hills, which it's packed with tailgaters, and they have food trucks and people cooking up gourmet meals, and tens of thousands of people show up. And I said to Joe, it looks like they throw a party and decide to, hey, let's have some horse races as well. But it's 2.5 hours from here, and it just looks like a lot of fun. But also some nice jump racing on the card. And yesterday, the highlight, obviously, is the Grade 1 American Grand National, $250,000 up for grabs. And the storyline was Snap Decision. Snap Decision at 10 years old, just phenomenal jumper. Now, he had won the Iroquois earlier this year, the Temple Gwathmey also earlier this year, and then took most of the late spring, summer off. Now, you would think, why not come up to come to Saratoga and go and run in the Shepherd or whatever. He had aged out. At 10 years old, he's too old. He can't run in New York. So they took the summer off. They had a little practice race back in October. As Joe said, they also, some of these horses had that practice workout as well that you would have seen underneath. But Snap Decision had a practice race back on October 6th and ran third. He's in the middle here. This is phenomenal because he gets passed by the outside horse, he gets passed by the inside horse, and then he comes back and wins. He goes over the last jump, takes the lead. They've got him on both sides, and he wins at 10 years old. It was an absolutely spectacular performance from Snap Decision. Galvin runs second, High Definition third, L'Imperator runs fourth. Noah and the Arica won this race last year, runs fifth. And Twitter blew up. Everybody was that was phenomenal. And it just, at 10 years old, goes over the last jump, takes the lead. Outside horse goes by him, inside horse goes by him, and he just digs down and gets it done under 156 pounds, as you would expect on the jump side of things. Just a crazy impressive performance yesterday by the 10-year-old Snap Decision. Again, the highlight of that Far Hills day of racing, and it was a notable highlight as well. And again, a lot of people are also tweeting, oh, well, you can already give out the Eclipse Award, which you absolutely can, because this is the last big race on that jump calendar. And with the race that he won already earlier this year and that win, there's one Eclipse that you can put in the bank. Snap Decision yesterday down at Far Hills put his name on that trophy that won't be awarded for a few months, but there's one you can bet on. Wanted to pull up one more race from yesterday. It's always fun to watch the 3-year-olds, certainly. And yesterday there was a Derby, actually. There was the Ontario Derby up at Woodbine. The morning line favorite was Dresden Rowe. The off-time favorite was Dresden Rowe. He was coming out of a win in the Durham Cup back on September 28th. Had run third in the Toronto Cup before that. But overall, he had won going into yesterday 4 for 7. Dresden Rowe will be the number 5 horse. And again, as the 6-5 favorite gets it done. Bail Us Out with Kazushi Kimura makes a little run and kind of gets things kind of interesting here, the number 1 horse. The 5 is Dresden Rowe and has the lead there. But Bail Us Out makes a run, and you think maybe the momentum, and then you kind of, the wire's going to come too soon. Chart margin winds up to be only half a length, so did make a nice run for Bail Us Out. And Bail Us Out may be a nice runner going forward for Kevin Attard and Rapoli. And I said when we were up at Woodbine earlier this year, we had the pleasure of interviewing Kevin Attard over at his barn and talked at that point. He had a couple of Rapoli runners. He'd gotten a couple of Al Gold runners, I think, as well. We were saying, the nice little situation to get some runners from those guys. And he was certainly in agreement with that. And Bail Us Out may be one of those that'll turn out okay. Again, a Rapoli runner, but coming into yesterday, 4 starts overall and a couple of wins. One of those was down at Gulfstream in February, but one of those was at Woodbine early in September. So now he has the Woodbine victory, and at Woodbine a good second in a stakes race, and only 4 starts, again, with Mike Rapoli behind this one. Bail Us Out could be an interesting horse going forward to watch. Lightly raced and has clearly shown some talent. But more clearly showing talent was Dresden Rowe, going out for Lauren Richards. Ryan Munger on board, getting it done. And that one now 5 for 8 overall. And again, nice little, always good to watch the 3-year-old action. We are, getting to the end of that season. So now you're kind of defining horses that might be interesting to watch next year as 4-year-olds. And again, there are 2 of them there potentially to keep our eyes on going forward. All right, we will take another quick break. When we come back, we'll do some news and notes, and we'll maybe do a little handicapping for this afternoon as well. All of that when Racing Across America continues. Stay tuned. Haven't signed up for a Capital OTB account yet? Now's the time to take advantage of the sign-up bonus. Open up a new account with $200 or more, bet $400 by the end of the month, and receive a bonus $200 into your account. Plus, you can take advantage of everything an OTB account has to offer. Wagering from any device, live streaming, racing info, past performances, online promotions, and more. Sign up today and take advantage of the new account bonus. Details at capitalotb.com.
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? Well, the University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner's circle.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Whoops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
Welcome back. As I say, we'll do some news and notes, and part of that news and notes, we looked at some of the stakes action from yesterday. There was another notable race yesterday down at Belmont at the Big A that is worth looking at. That's the opener. Now, it was the return of Locked, who had shown plenty of ability for Todd Pletcher as a 2-year-old last year, ran third in the debut up at Saratoga, then won the second start of the career at a short price. Then goes down to Keeneland in the Breeders' Futuri. Third start of the career, wins the Grade 1 Breeders' Futuri. Then out to Santa Anita for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Ran third behind Fierceness and Move. So Locked had shown plenty of potential. Subsequently comes back and is ready for, to start the 3-year-old season. Gets scratched out of the fountain of youth with a little bit of a knee issue that had to have some time to overcome. So this horse hadn't been seen in the opener yesterday, Locked, since last year's Breeders' Cup early in November. I took a little pop with Costa Terra in here. I got nothing, just had a bad start and showed nothing. I took a little pop with that one. And I put Locked underneath just on the layoff factor. Well, layoff was no concern. Locked ran great yesterday. Again, this was the first start off a very long layoff, going to be the number 2 horse. Gunnet runs second. Gunnet, a talented horse in his own right. And one of the other things that had me a little bit concerned was this was Locke's first start in a long time. First start as a 3-year-old, and he's starting against older. Gunnet's a talented 8-year-old, but he puts 7.5 lengths on that one. So as the 2-5 favorite, Locke gets it done. A solid 96 buyer. So the buyer matches his lifetime best that he fired in that maiden breaker at Saratoga. Solid comeback off a long layoff like that. John Velasquez lost his crop early in the race, which I suppose makes it even better. Although, did he need it? I don't know. Just ran away and hid from this bunch. Todd Pletcher, after the race, said the goal will be the Pegasus early in the year down at Gulfstream. But how to get there, they may try the Cigar Mile on December 7th, or they might try the Harlan's Holiday down at Gulfstream on December 21st. It sounded like Todd, who said, given what we saw yesterday on that Aqueduct strip, the Cigar Mile may be the better option. So we'll see where they go with Locke. But that was impressive, certainly, for a comeback effort. So again, we'll keep our eyes on that one. Also notable yesterday, Linda Rice had a victory in the 6th race yesterday that gave her her 2,511th victory, which moved her past Kathleen O'Connell as the winningest female trainer in America of all time leader. Now, I pulled up the all-time training leading list. Equibase still has Linda Rice. This was last night. Still have her listed tied with Kathleen O'Connell at 25-10. I tend to buy into Grenig's count a little more because it also, Kathleen O'Connell has held the title for 20 months. She surpassed trainer Kim Hammond in March of 2023. And I was curious, Kim Hammond, I looked up her individual stat, and she is listed at 2,405 wins. And then I looked on the leader list that I pulled up, and she's not there at all. If you go to her individual page, you see she's won 2,405, but she's not on the all-time leader list. But I would assume she's third in that female trainer category. But again, congratulations to Linda Rice being the all-time leading female trainer. We shall see, because I would imagine their potential is a little back and forth, because Kathleen O'Connell is still out there training. And in fact, she had a rare New York starter yesterday in one of the races that Linda Rice was also in. Neither one of them scored in that race, but that was kind of an interesting side story on the day. Dave Grenig, in his follow-up article, you can pull that up. Linda Rice quoted as saying, "It's a little bit emotional to know that when I came to New York, Sally Bailey had won the first Grade 1 for a woman, but there were only scattered few women. Now they're doing great things, Linda Rice being at the top of that pack. She had her best year, 2023. She won 167 races. Her horses that year won over $10 million in purses. And on the Equibase list, she is number 26 all-time in purse earnings with $110,000. Solid numbers. Again, congratulations to Linda Rice with the victory yesterday, moving her to the top of the list for female trainers in America. All right. Tomorrow, we are headed, again, road trip tomorrow out to the Finger Lakes. Should be a lot of fun. And again, it looks like it's going to be a gorgeous day. You're invited to come out, pop down the thruway yourself. I've said it before. You just hop on the thruway, you go down to the, Rochester-ish area, pop off the exit, and Finger Lakes is, 5 minutes away. It's a really easy ride, certainly. So we'd love to have you swing by. If you do stop by, look up our location and say hello. If you can't, tune in all afternoon here on the network. But it'll just give you a little preview of, again, it's a nice stakes day tomorrow, so it should be a great day. Weather-wise, nice racing. Stakes action will kick off in the 5th with the Genesee Valley Breeders, $50,000 up for grabs. Mike Maker has Maker's Candy in here. Manny Franco scheduled to make the trip out. Dan Centino looks to be in town for doing it the right way, coming up from some really nice tries at Delaware Park. Baldassar is going for Jim Bond with, I believe Kai Barco is still the leading rider out there. I thought Royal Suspect was maybe a little bit interesting too, being of the horses I mentioned so far, the lone Finger Lakes-based horse, but has been racing very well. So again, it's a fun stakes day, kicking off with that Genesee Valley Breeders. And again, some connections coming in from out of town, chasing the nice purses on a Monday afternoon. That will include the Jack Better Be Right stake in the 7th, $50,000 up for grabs. And I have Midtown Lights on top coming up from the New York circuit. And again, the NYRA circuit. And again, Manny Franco scheduled to be on board. I put that one on top. Looking forward to Sweet Brown Sugar though. Richie Rich Racing Stable. If you remember, we were out the Finger Lakes in June, and I had a little interview with the proprietor, the head honcho of Richie Rich, and we talked about Sweet Brown Sugar. She had been coming off a win in March in the Eastview and had won, then subsequently won the Niagara at Finger Lakes. And we talked with, again, the Richie Rich Racing Stable folks, and they said probably shoot for the New York Oaks at Finger Lakes and then head up to Saratoga. And that was the game plan. Second in the Oaks. Unfortunately, the Fleet Indian ran 6th, but have subsequently returned to Finger Lakes for a nice little optional claiming win. 4 for 5 at Finger Lakes for Sweet Brown Sugar. And again, might run into the connections again tomorrow. Looking forward to that potential. Gone and Forgotten is also a little bit interesting. A horse that is trained by Linda Dixon, who is a Finger Lakes-based trainer. But this horse has kind of been bouncing back and forth recently between Finger Lakes and NYRA. Most of the career has been down at NYRA and been training mostly, if you look on the page, Saratoga, the Belmont training track. Most recent race was done at Belmont at 3rd, Belmont at Aqueduct, and the most recent work was at Finger Lakes. So Gone and Forgotten also intriguing there in the Jack Better Be Right. And race number 8, here's the reason why some of these New York connections are popping up. The New York Breeders' Futurity, $165,000 up for grabs on a Monday afternoon. And so this one will be a lot of fun. A field of 9 scheduled in here. I always say we like to root for our friends, the locals, Eddie F's, Butter, Chowder, Lobster, all referring to I was going to say their Saratoga restaurant. They're now 2 restaurants, Saratoga and Clifton Park. If you like fried clams, lobster rolls, no place like Eddie F's, but Eddie F's also with a nice racing stable with the aforementioned names. Butter coming up for Gary Siaka and Eddie F's. Lane Leslie scheduled for the ride. Butter broke the maiden at Saratoga right towards the end of the meet. Subsequently went in the Bonguard down at Belmont Aqueduct. Ran second, a well-beaten second, but ran second in a stakes race. Already has some stakes experience. Comes in with a bullet workout. So Butter, very interesting. I tilted towards Bold Fortune tomorrow. We'll see what this one can do for George Weaver. Couple of starts, ran third in the debut up at Saratoga, and then a big win with a solid number down at Belmont Aqueduct. Dylan Davis was on board for both of those. He is scheduled to be in town riding Bold Fortune tomorrow, and he is certainly riding very well. Under whose radar is the 9 to 5 morning line favorite. Yeah, the morning line favorite at 9 to 5. No surprise. Under whose radar, big winner in the career debut up at Saratoga. Then goes down to Kentucky Downs, $872,000 juvenile sprint on the turf at Kentucky Downs. Comes under the finish line first, gets disqualified to second, but still open company, a nice victory there. Then tries the futurity on the grass, Belmont Aqueduct, and disappointing a little bit given the Kentucky Downs race. Finishes behind the talented Mentee, running 4th in the futurity, but now gets back to the dirt and relatively quick turnaround of a couple of weeks. So we'll see under whose radar Manny Franco scheduled to be on board there. In the chase, also coming up for the Naira circuit, has put a little bit of potential to maybe take a look at. Share the Loot. Also could be interesting. This is a maiden for Melanie Giddings. Sean Bridgman scheduled to ride. They tend to team up successfully. Now, they teamed up in the career debut, ran 5th, but it looks like a race that maybe you can kind of move forward from. Been training right up here at Saratoga, so Share the Loot, interesting as well. Again, it's a nice field of 9 in here, talented 2-year-olds vying for a nice, juicy $165,000. Another one of the nice stakes tomorrow that we will be featuring as we enjoy our trip out to the Finger Lakes tomorrow. All right, let me remind you that today at Belmont, there is a Pick 6 carryover, $44,000 up for grabs this afternoon. We will feature all of that on OTB Live. And I'll just take a quick look through the sequence here and maybe toss out some ideas. Now, the number of carryovers the past few weeks in the Pick 6 down in New York indicates I think you have to be super clever on some days because somewhere in the mix there's going to be 1 or 2 that are tough to come up with. And I don't know whether I have enough clever horses to justify that, but we'll just toss out and give you a look at the sequence anyway. 5th race at Belmont today is going to kick off the Pick 6. Goes off at about 2:45. So if you haven't looked yet and you're a Pick 6 player and you like to chase the carryovers, 5th race today down in New York. Again, Claimer going 6. I'm 8, 7, 3, and 9, backed by Gold for David Jacobson. Drops down the claiming ladder, second off the claim. It's one of those where you can kind of go either way. David Jacobson, a part owner, though. So I'm going to look for them to be shopping for the proper spot. Answer the Call goes out for Gary Contessa, and I think also drops down the claiming ladder. 3rd start off the claim, but another one where I just think they're looking for the right spot to go. Same with Hazardous Humor, the number 3. So our top 3 there are all dropping down a little bit, which raises red flags, but it's the field is made up of similar scenarios there. So you just have to decide which red flag you're going to plant your flag next to. 6th race today. State Bred Maiden Claimers going 6.5, 11, 7, 9, and 5. Dance on Air getting 4-1 out of Chad Brown, Bill Lawrence runner. So again, I like to root for the locals. And this one comes off a nice little fourth place last time, less than a couple of lengths, and a good second two-back and an off-the-turfer up at Saratoga, going the 1.5 turn mile. But the race last time, and now we go a little half step further down the claiming ladder. And again, 2 of the last 3 were turf races. The one in between the second place finish was an off-the-turfer. Today's the dirt at a sprint. I just thought the change-up and a little bit of class relief might make that one interesting. And with those change-ups, maybe we'll get a decent price. Will we get the 4-1? I don't know. But even, 7-2, 3-1 seems like a livable price for a Chad Brown run with Flavian Prat on board. Lose Redemption in the mix as well. Nice try, two-back in and off the turfer. So similar thoughts maybe to the top pick. And Focus Pocus off the claim for Rudy. They come back at the level of the claim, and I could certainly see this one, given some back numbers that are pretty good. I could see this one offering up a little bit of competition in here. Again, at maybe a little bit of a price. In the 6th, then 11, 7, 9, and 5. In the 7th today, Belmont at the Big A, State Bred Maiden Specials, 8.5 furlongs on the grass, 6, 7, 8, and 2. Gabby's Legacy, first time starter for Tom Morley by McKinsey. I thought that was a little bit intriguing. Dylan Davis on board kind of adds to it with how he's been riding. Saratoga Snow going out for Mike Deeney. Mike Deeney, part owner as well. Seemed to improve nicely when stretched out on the grass last time. Given that, I think this horse is very live in with this group today. And of those that have started, it is the best last out buyer if you're a believer in that factor as well. 4-1, given that buyer number, I don't know what we can expect price-wise, but runner by Vacoma, so win early breeding, nice improvement last time on the grass. Saratoga Snow is legit. Leonora's Secret, Christophe Clement, first-time starter. He can have them ready out of the box. Another one where we're certainly rooting for the locals. Eddie F. had I Heard Somethings. Second-time starter, moves to the grass, stretches out, and could be a little bit interesting at a price. But again, certainly rooting for our friends at Eddie F's with I Heard Somethings in the 7th. I have it 6, 7, 8, and 2. 8th race, starter allowance, 6.5 furlongs, 6, 3, 8, and 1. Trade Secret on top, 6-1, solid number there, I would think, for a horse that hasn't been seen since mid-August, so a little bit of a layoff. This, though, I like the move here. This is second off the claim. The claimed race back in July was a close-up second. Then they ran at Saratoga for double the claiming price and ran a near-miss third. Now they're going in a starter allowance. I like the confident move class-wise. Trade Secret on top. Second spot, Tyrona, going out for a 10 Strike and Company. Lindsey Schultz training off a win for a 20 tag last time. So another one making a nice move off a nice win at the price. And Killy Start in the 3rd spot. Class-wise, I think is going to stack up okay. Stepping in out of some allowance races off the claim 3-back. And I think is going to class up nicely with this bunch. 8th race, 6, 3, 8, and 1. 9th race, ninth race this afternoon. State Bred allowance runners going a mile and a 16. 5, 1, 3, and 2. Going to put the 5 on top. Midnight Concerto. Ken McPeak runner that has tried this kind of company in the last couple of starts. Moved to the turf in State Bred Allowance Company 2 starts back in June. Big closing effort to be 3rd. Big closing effort last time to also be 3rd, but a better 3rd, closer 3rd with a little bit of an improved number in Saratoga last time. Again, you're always up against it when you're coming from out of it, but look for Midnight Concerto to be heard from in the lane. Bobby M's Girl, nice maiden breaker last time. Just seems to be moving in the right direction, improving. Probably is worthy of this assignment. Next class, step up the ladder. Highway Harmony, good second, 2-back up at Saratoga. Last time ran 6th, but a close-up 6th. And you look overall at what this horse tends to fire, probably worth considering in the mix this afternoon. 9th race, Belmont at the Big A, 5, 1, 3, and 12. And we'll wrap it up Belmont at the Big A today in race number 10. Going to go off at about 5:20. 7, 5, 8, and 12 for me. These are state bred maiden specials going 6. The 12 will have to escape from the AE list and a couple deep. So we'll see if that one makes it in. But the 7 is Heavenly Girl for Horacio De Paz. Hasn't been seen since May. That's a little bit of the question mark. The workouts underneath aren't really touting one way or the other, but this horse has shown some talent in the first few starts of the career. Long-legged Queen. Going out for, I think this is my old friend Jim Doyle, who going back many years, Jim and I did some TV projects on the track. This is many years ago. And Jim, owner, breeder, trainer, Jim Doyle. The horse so far in the career, a couple of decent starts. So we shall see. And then Autumn in the third spot for Carlos Martin comes in off a really nice try last time. Horse has been knocking on the door in a few starts and maybe finds the field to break through. In the 10th, Belmont at the Big A, 7, 5, 8, and 12. All right, that gives you some idea, a little recap, little preview, and more, little news and notes. And once again, I will remind you that today at the Racebook, stop down, enjoy all the football action and all the racing action. Football Sundays right here, Clubhouse Racebook throughout the NFL season, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. Tomorrow, tune in all afternoon and enjoy us live from the Finger Lakes. Looking forward to it. It looks like it's going to be a great day. Just mentioned we had the 3 stakes races, so that should be a lot of fun, but a nice card otherwise. And we'll be plugging in guests throughout the afternoon, including potential special guests coming in, maybe from our area. So we shall see how that all works out tomorrow at the Finger Lakes. And once again, I do want to alert you because there is a chunk of change up for grabs. Mark it on your calendar for next Saturday. Come down to the Clubhouse Racebook, play King of the Hill. There's $1,000 up for grabs for the winner. You can't beat that. That's next Saturday here at the Clubhouse Racebook. And again, if you don't know the King of the Hill contest, you'll get a form at the beginning of the day with the assigned races. Your horse has to finish 4th or better in the first 2 races, 3rd or better in the next 2 races, 2nd or better in the next 2 races, and then has to win the finale. And if you can manage that sequence, you're going to come up with $1,000. And again, we've been very close in the last few weeks, just haven't managed to do it. But mark it on your calendar, as I say, for next Saturday, $1,000 up for grabs in the King of the Hill. All right, Seth Merrow wrapping it up for Racing Across America on this Sunday morning. As always, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate that. And again, we'll be back in about an hour and a half or so, OTB Live for a Sunday afternoon. Little Belmont and Aqueduct, little Keeneland, that's what I'll be looking at, but plenty more action. We'll have some Saratoga harness, some Woodbine, and plenty of fun to take you throughout the Sunday afternoon. So put that on your agenda for a little bit later on. But in the meantime, again, thanks for joining us, and back in an hour and a half or so. We'll see you then.
What if there was a way to become a better horse player, to have a better knowledge of the game, to be more successful? What if there were a way to take what you've learned, what you know, and make better decisions, better choices? In horse racing, knowledge is a powerful tool. Race results and replays, past performances and live streaming, wagering from all your digital devices. Capital OTB. Become a better horse player.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady. where the good times flow.
We'd like to thank Woodbine for their sponsorship of this program and some of the other programming and events here at Capital OTB. Woodbine open now through December, featuring great racing, including the King's Plate coming up in August, Turf Champions Day with the Woodbine Mile in September, and much, much more. Woodbine Racing, great racing north of the border.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.